Hi everyone. The book I've chosen to highlight is Engineer Ari and the Sukkah Express by Deborah Bowden Cohen. And I could have chosen any of the books really from my annotated bibliography, but I chose this one for a couple of reasons. First of all, the illustrations are very simple but very cheerful, and I think that helps make the storytelling more expressive. Children love a good mystery, and there's a mystery at the end, toward the end of this book, which I think they'll enjoy. I think that kids love trains, and this is all about a train. I love the fact that the story takes place in Israel, and there's a repetition of vocabulary that I think is great and very developmentally appropriate for kindergarten-age students. As an aside, I think that it's great that of Ari's two fellow engineers, one of them, Jessie, is a woman, and that there is a strong collaboration and sharing of the tasks between all three engineers. Doesn't matter what the gender is. Personally, I would read this book well into a unit on Sukkot. I think that it has a really, really nice review of some of the symbols of Sukkot. And as far as the major concepts to be addressed, you could certainly address permanent nature, permanency versus temporariness of Sukkot using this story, and even more importantly, the Jewish values of Hachnasat Orchim, welcoming guests, obviously for Sukkot, as well as Dibuk Chaverim, cleaving to friends, and Gemilut Chasadim, acts of loving kindness. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to read this story to you right now and show you how I would engage the students in an interactive manner, asking some questions and stopping along the way. Okay. Engineer Ari and the Sukkah Express. Boker Tov, good morning. Engineer Ari called to his friend Jessie. It's time to build our sukkah. There he is, and he's knocking on her door, and I see her inside here. You know what this is? It's called a pomegranate. There's a lot of those in Israel. Delicious fruit. Engineer Ari breathed in the crisp autumn air. It was the morning after Yom Kippur. Do you remember we talked about Yom Kippur last week? Let's just do a real quick review. First we talked about Rosh Hashanah. Remember, the head of the year? Then the next holiday we talked about was Yom Kippur. That's the holiday where we say I'm sorry for something we may have done wrong. And now we've been talking about Sukkot. And here's Ari, and here's Jessie. Good morning to you, answered Jessie, coming out of the house. But where is Nathaniel? He is so handy with a saw and hammer. We need his help. There he is. I found him. There he is, and he's got his toolbox. Just then Nathaniel arrived, carrying his toolbox. I'm ready, he said. Let's go down to the railway station. When the workers finished the tracks, they left behind some wood that will be perfect for our sukkah. What a great idea. They're using the leftover wood from building the tracks. That's a great thing to do for the environment. Let's see. At the station, the three engineers sorted through the woodpile and carried pieces of lumber back to Ari's courtyard. Okay, look, they're all helping out together. And they're going to take the wood back, and they're going to build their sukkah there. Ari steadied the ladder, while Jessie held the boards for Nathaniel to nail together. As the frame took shape, the three friends stood back to admire their handiwork. Now we need branches for the roof and fruit for decorations, said Jessie. And a lulav and an etrog to shake in the sukkah, added Nathaniel. Don't worry, answered Ari. I'm driving the train to Jerusalem tomorrow, and I have an idea. What do you think Ari's idea is? Let's find out. The next morning, Engineer Ari chug-a-lugged out of Jaffa Station. Here's the train. Can everybody chug-a-lug with me? Here we go. Let's do this. This is like the wheel of the train moving. Chug-a-lug, 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 chug-a-lug. Good. Since the railway was opened, he had made many new friends along his route. He stopped his engine in an olive grove. His new friend Hadass was tending the trees. What's an olive grove? You can see that there are trees here, okay? And this is where they grow olives. And what do we use olives for? Yeah, we can eat them. We can, what else? Right, we can make olive oil out of them. Okay, there are different colors olives. There's some olives that have pits. How many people here like to eat olives? Raise your hand. I'm not a big olive person. Okay, good. Let's get back to our story. Do you have branches that I could use for the roof of my sukkah? He asked his friend Hadass. Plenty, answered Hadass. Take as many as you need. Remember, a sukkah's roof needs to be thick enough to keep out the rain, but thin enough to see the stars, finished Engineer Ari with a wink. Can you wink? Good. Thank you, Hadass. Toda Rabbah. That's how we say thank you in Hebrew. Can everybody say that? 1, 2, 3. Toda Rabbah. Good. Now you know how to say thank you in Hebrew. And look, she gave him a whole bunch of these branches that he'll be able to use for the roof. That's such a nice thing she did for him. Let's see what happens next. Engineer Ari's train chug-a-lugged. Everybody chug-a-lug. Chug-a-lug, 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 chug-a-lugged. Good. Further down the tracks, he braked at a vineyard. What's a vineyard? What are these? Can you see? Those are grapes. We grow grapes on a vineyard. Could you spare a few grapevines? Ari asked his new friend Arava. I am decorating my sukkah. I will cut them for you, Ari, she answered. These vines will make your sukkah as beautiful as the harvest. Thank you, Arava, said Engineer Ari. Can we all say thank you to Arava in Hebrew? Remember how we said it? Toda Rabbah. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Toda Rabbah. See? And she cut down some of these beautiful, beautiful grapevines that he's going to be able to use. And she uses the word harvest. Do you know what harvest is? So after we plant things like grapes, when they are ready to be eaten, we take them down off of the vines. And that's just, harvest is just a fancy way of saying that we're taking down the grapes. Okay, so now he's got two things, Ari. He's got the branches and he's got the grapevines for his beautiful sukkah. At midday, Engineer Ari chug-a-lugged. Everybody, here we go. Get ready. Chug-a-lugged, 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 chug-a-lugged. Into the Jerusalem railway station. Look, here's a big sign that says Jerusalem. While the workers unloaded the train's cargo, he hurried to the city market to find his friend Tamar, who worked there. So this is a big city market where people, I don't know if you can see or not, they put stands out and they sell some of the things that they grow and some of the things that they make. And this is one of the nice things about being in a city like Jerusalem, that there are so many different things that you can get there. Okay, so he's going to see his friend Tamar, and she works there. And another vocabulary word that we haven't talked about is cargo. So all that means, cargo, is just some of the stuff that we're bringing from Jaffa to Jerusalem that we can use there. And that's what cargo is. Let's go to this page. Here we go. Here's a lulav and an etrog for you, she said. We shake them in all directions to remind us that God is everywhere. So everybody stand up and pretend that you're shaking your lulav and your etrog, okay? And we have a song that we sing to this, right? So we're going to shake it up to the north and to the south and to the east and to the west and all over to show us that God is everywhere. And look, she has so many beautiful, she's got all the lulav lined up here and all of the etrogim here, all right? And she's going to be helping Ari out by giving him a lulav and an etrog. Engineer Ari smelled the sweet etrog and admired the lulav's palm, myrtle, and willow branches. Thank you, he said, leaving the market. Toda Rabbah. Everybody, let's say Toda Rabbah together to his friend Tamar. 1, 2, 3. Toda Rabbah. Okay. Engineer Ari headed back to Jaffa, where Jesse, Nathaniel, and Ari finished building and decorating their sukkah together. Look at some of the decorations that they're using. What is that? Yeah, those are paper cutouts of trains. What a great idea for 3 train engineers to use that to decorate their sukkah. And here's some more of the pomegranates we saw on an earlier page, right? And here's some paper ones that they're hanging. Can we count the pomegranates together? Let's count the paper ones. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. So far there are 3 pomegranates, the paper ones that are hanging up in the sukkah. Cute little cat. Okay, now let's look at this page. As the sun set, they celebrated the first night of the holiday with their neighbors. Let's look at this page together. I see lots of things going on. Can you find me a mitzvah? Let's find one mitzvah that Ari and his neighbors are doing in the sukkah. Good, that's right, they're sitting in the sukkah. That's a mitzvah, that's an easy one, right? What else are they doing that's a mitzvah? They're eating and they're drinking, right. And what do we have over here? Good, we've got the lulav and the etrog that Ari got from his friend Tamar. And they're having such a good time. Engineer Ari was tired but happy. Through the branches on the sukkah's roof, he saw the full moon and the twinkling stars. The stars reminded him of all his new friends along the railway. Engineer Ari's expression turned sad. Can you show me an expression that looks sad? Yeah. I wonder, why is he sad? What's wrong? Asked Jessie. Here's Jessie over here. Oh, on Sukkot we welcome friends to our sukkah, explained Ari. Tonight our neighbors joined us. Here's all the neighbors. But our new friends up and down the tracks live too far away. I wish they could have been here with us. I feel kind of bad for Ari. I don't want him to be sad. He built this beautiful sukkah and he wants to welcome all of his friends and have guests in it, but he can't have the people that have helped him build the sukkah because they just live too far away. The next morning, Engineer Ari walked outside to eat breakfast in the sukkah. But the sukkah was gone! Oh my goodness! Not even an olive branch was left where the sukkah had stood the night before. He searched the courtyard. He looked all over. Finally, he saw a note nailed to an orange tree. Can you see the note? Here's the orange tree. Can anybody here read what the note says? Right, it says, "Come to railway station, surprise waiting," and it's signed Jessie and Nathaniel. What's going on? Let's find out. Look, here's Ari. He's running because he doesn't understand where the sukkah could possibly have gone. And all of the townspeople seem to be pointing. As Engineer Ari ran toward the station, he saw a crowd gathering. "Have you seen Jessie and Nathaniel?" he asked. "Our sukkah is missing." Everyone pointed to the train yard. Jessie and Nathaniel stood on the stairs of Ari's bright red engine. Behind the boiler car was the sukkah. "Last night you made a wish," explained Jessie. "You wished we could invite all our new friends up and down the tracks into our sukkah. Now we can." "Should we call it the Sukkah Express?" laughed Nathaniel. "What a nice thing they've done. Look, it's right there on the car." Engineer Ari put his arms around Jessie and Nathaniel. Look at these 3 friends. It's nice to give somebody a hug, especially when they do something nice for you. He looked out at the crowd and he called out, "Hop aboard the Sukkah Express! Toot toot!" Can you toot toot with me? Here we go. Let's pretend we're pulling down on the thing that makes that sound. Toot toot! Good job. The crowd climbed onto the train, carrying lulavs and etrogs. Children hung fruit from the sukkah's roof. Engineer Ari tugged the whistle cord. That's what it's called. It's called a whistle cord. Toot, toot! He pulled back the throttle. Everybody pull back the throttle. Good. And the Sukkah Express chug-a-lugged out of the station. Everybody, let's go. Chug-a-lug, 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 chug-a-lugged. It was time to celebrate with friends, old and new. And there's Ari and Jesse and Nathaniel, and they are taking off on the Sukkah Express to see their friends. Okay, at this point, what I would probably do is right after reading the story, I think I might take out a map of Israel and put it out so that all the students could trace Ari's route from Jaffa to Jerusalem, and maybe try to imagine themselves stopping along the way to visit their new friends at the olive grove and the vineyard, and finally in Jerusalem. We might even also guess what other stops the train may have taken between the two cities as well. So, potential questions for using this story. I think that if you're going to address the temporary versus permanent aspect, you might say to the students at some point, okay, everybody look up. What do you see? See a ceiling. Can you see the sky? No, because we're in a building. We're in our school right now. And could we move this school? Could we pick it up and move it out and put it onto a train car? No, we can't do that. The reason that they could do that with the sukkah is that the sukkah is something that's built. It's very temporary, which means it's only supposed to last during the time that we're celebrating the holiday of Sukkot. Okay, that might be one question that I'd ask for that. As far as the Jewish values are concerned, which I think are even more important, for the value of Hachmasat Orchim, I might ask, why do you think it's important to Ari that he be able to celebrate with his faraway friends? Why is that important to him? And for the values of Dibuk Chaverim or Gemilut Chasadim, I would say, what did Jesse and Nathaniel do for their friend Ari, and why did they do it? Why did they want to help their friend who was sad? Because we don't want our friends to be sad. And maybe talk about how they came up with a very clever way to make Ari's wish come true. And then to take it even a step further, I might say, can you think of something nice that someone did for you when you were sad? Or something that you did for one of your friends when they were sad, maybe? And just to tie back into Hachmasat Orchim, I might ask, what could you do if a new student arrived at your school and you would want to make them feel welcome and make them feel like they were a part of the class? Okay, so one other note that I just want to bring up is that the names of Ari's friends that he meets along the way, who help him out with the stuff for the sukkah, are Hadass, and Arava, and Tamar, which happen to be the names of the three different branches that make up the lulav, right? Hadass is myrtle, and Arava is willow, and Tamar is palm. And I think that that's a very clever way that they've woven that vocab into the story, and based on the level of the students who are in your room, you might want to point out the fact that their names are the vocab for that. And even taking it a step further, apparently if you count the times that the names Hadass, Arava, and Tamar appear in the story, you will find out the number of the myrtle, willow, and palm branches that make up a lulav. So again, you'd have to sort of gauge your students and see whether or not that's a concept that you think that they would be able to integrate. So thank you so much for listening to my story, and I hope you enjoyed.